Hello, and welcome back to the Random Horror Show. I am your horror podcast host, is Keisha Lacey, and thank you for listening to this train wreck and rinky dink of a podcast, horror podcast that is, and of course, coming straight up out of the piney woods of East Texas, aka the Iron Pine Curtain. I'd like to welcome you all, those who have been ride or die with me on my little OGs on this little podcast, and those who happen to stumble on this. Thank you and welcome for listening. Well, I got my good tasting, delicious Douce cognac with me, and my tarot cards around me, and of course my crystals, as we are going to be doing a double feature. Nightmare Alley, and Cast a Deadly Spell. And you're wondering why? How come we're talking about this? Nightmare Alley is not really a horror movie. No, but it does fall into one of those genres that I always talk about, which is, as I said, as we talk about being randomly and being goofy with horror, science fiction, fantasy, cult classics, and the obscure, in movies, television, and books. I'm still a little sick, so forgive me for my coughing. I hope this cognac helps me out with my coughing. But it does fall into a thriller, but mostly it's the occult part of it, of that what I'm going to be talking about. Something that I do, and something that I do I'm into, is the occult, witchcraft, hoodoo, you name it, tarot cards, tarot reading, clairvoyance, psychic medium, seances, bullshit like that. You name it, you name it. That is my freaking realm right there. And it's always been a part of me. It is actually in my blood. I gotta take a cognac. But another thing of why I'm gonna be talking about two of these movies is because of the 40s and 50s movie style, which is film noir or neo-noir. Um, it is one of my favorite just film styles that I really really love. You know, the classy dames. You know, you have your gumshoe detectives or your private investigators. You know, you have a pretty little dame that comes in the office and she needs help. You know, the investigator, the PI, is on the case. He's either washed up, or he's an alcoholic, or he served on the force, or he got kicked off, or he got burnt out. You know, he has a lot of demons in his, or a lot of skeletons in his closet. He still loves the dame that he fell in love with, but come to find out she is a changed person and double cross and things like that. Well, really, there's always a history behind a lot of these film noir movies that comes out that has like a lot of occult and witchcraft, things like that, is because of years and years ago, back in the 20s and the 30s, and of course the 40s and stuff, right around in that period, a lot of occult worshiping, and you had wealthy people that employed so-called mediums and um, you know uh, psychics and everything to come have seances so they can contact the dead. There was like a really huge following of that, and so that all like happened like in those heydays. You know, you have your roaring 20s, of course the 30s, you know, still holding on, but you had prohibition. And then you also had the 40s, of where everything was building back up after the whole stock market crash, the whole Great Depression, things like that that happened in history. And then, of course, everything was getting back to normal. Then you had the war that started and happened like in 1941. And then, which came into about when, after World War II, you had the 50s that came about. You know, you had suburban life. You had them building all of these homes for Americans during that time to usually I would say the 50s are more like the fake 50s because a lot of times those people that they built all those suburbs, this is the start of the suburbs, was actually called white flight because of everything that was coming to. You had Native Americans. You watched the movie Windtalkers. I think that was the movie right there where they used Navajo language, as Morse code during the wartime. You had black people that were in the service and everything. So a lot of history right in World War II, even though we were fighting the Nazi occupation and things like that. America was basically a hypocrite of itself because you still had racism, you had, uh, you know, the whole thing of like, especially in the military, where they still segregated blacks and whites, even though they were on the same side. But then it's like, can we be fighting the Nazis and this, that, and everything of what's going on? But back at home, we still don't have our shit together. We also had what you call intermediate camps, especially with firstborn Japanese and their families who came from Japan and China over in the Pacific Northwest. Um, they call that the Pacific Rim right there when they come entering into San Francisco. They had their homes, their stores, their businesses, money, everything taken away from them. And they placed them, they call it intermediate camps, but they're actually concentration camps. So they had Japanese Ishis, which is the firstborn, in these camps. And they had them in Utah, Arizona. They had a couple of them out here in the South also, I believe. We also had POWs from the war, Nazi POWs that were actually here where I'm at in East Texas. They had them there hidden because where I'm at is very wooded. So there was a couple of like Nazi POWs that broke out of the camp in Alto, Texas, and they killed a couple of families down there in Alto. Didn't even know that till a couple of years back. I was like, my goodness, we were having Nazi POWs here in my area. And there's also there was a lot of Nazi POW camps that was in America. And suffice to say, in our history, we are not going to say that, but they were here, they were there. Explain that to those 7 people that were murdered by Nazi POWs down in Alto, Texas. That was about 60 years ago. So explain that to the surviving families of those people that they brutally murdered. But a lot of times the 40s are glamorized because of the World War II efforts from everybody. And so you had these very gritty neo-noir films that were very dark. The cynicism is like off the chain and everything, which the reason why I like it is because people are pretty cynical in these movies. The makeup of the women, the hair, the fashion, even down to the men's dress, the coats and the suits and the hats and things like that. And they're drinking delicious cognacs and whiskeys and things like that, and smoking cigars, and they smoke a lot of cigarettes back then too. But cigarettes was actually glamorized way back then. Pretty much everybody smoked. Even my grandfather, he smoked. He literally fought in the Korean War, but pretty much part of World War II, he enlisted in the army. And so he told me a lot of stories. He was there in the reconstruction for Germany, and he told us wonderful, wonderful stories about that. But back to our podcast, I just have to throw in like that whole history story right there. But film noir movies are like my jam right there. I've always loved that style of film. I love like how the movement. I mean, you had like Casablanca and all types of movies that came out during the 40s. There was like a lot of pulp comics that came out, like The Phantom, Batman, and all that during that time. It was a very intriguing, um, you know, uh, decade. It really was, especially those couple of decades right in there. But these films right here, they are like sat in the 40s, which is Nightmare Alley, which is a remake of the 1947 Nightmare Alley. Um, Guillermo del Toro done Nightmare Alley, and it's 2 hours. I literally like it. I really do. And I love Del Toro's work, especially with The Shape of Water, Pan's Labyrinth, even Hellboy. He has like a very special knack of storytelling, and especially with horror. And so I have not seen Cronus. I remember Cronus when it came out, and this is where I heard about Guillermo del Toro. And I was just like, I'm not going to watch that movie. That movie looks scary as shit. But I want to see it though. And then when he did Pan's Labyrinth, I was like, oh, I know who this is. This is the guy who did Kronos. And he also did a lot of work with different other movies, and that is not basically in the horror realm, but I enjoy a lot of his films. I literally just, he still gives me that wow factor of what he does, even if it's a movie that does not make, box office like hits or anything else like that. It's still Guillermo del Toro's hand in everything. Um, and he is from Mexico, and I do like the style of horror, especially from Mexico. It's very, very, it's really unique. Like I said, I always liked to watch foreign horror films from different countries, and but I do like the way how he did Nightmare Alley, and I feel that, like I still want to watch the old, the original Nightmare Alley. I do, I really do, and I'm going to catch that pretty soon. But Nightmare Alley came out in 2021. Of course, like a little bit of the pushback from the pandemic. Now it was in theaters when I went to go see. I forgot the movie I went to go see, but I seen the marquee of it. Now, it was not advertised a lot. And I remember that it wasn't advertised a lot. And I think um people are just not like really into like film noir or neo noir films, particularly because of the style. Um because to I don't know, maybe it just seems too antiquated for people to like grasp or whatever. But for those out there who do dress vintage and do big band dances, I don't know if big band dances are still popular, but I remember it was very, very popular back in the 2000s. um but I like how I do it is it's like an audience. It's more, to me, it's more of a niche audience now than it was long time ago. You actually had more people that liked the gumshoe, the neo-noir films. But now it's the way how everybody is. It's kind of a niche thing now. But I do remember the advertising when I went to the movie theater. I forgot what I was watching at that time, but it was like not a lot of advertisement for it. And I think the reason why the advertisement for this movie was so low is because everything was like pushed back. You have the Marvel universe, you got the phase 4, Doctor Strange is coming out. You have all these Marvel movies. People just want more of an excitement. They want more um feeling like a hero. But like, to me, Nightmare Alley is more of a um it's for like a more mature audience, to where they can understand the storyline, the movement and the pace of the movie. Um, I particularly like the pacing of it because it didn't bore me, even though it's 2 hours and 30 minutes. It still like kept me up on my feet, to where it still held my interest. I remember some Tenet came out, and it's 2 hours, and it just did not hold my attention. But this one, it does, and of course, it has like a wonderful cast: Bradley Cooper, Kate Blanchett, Rooney Mara, Toni Collette, Willem Dafoe, and also you have Ron Perlman. Um, you have Mary Steenburgen. I was like, damn, I ain't seen Mary Steenburgen in a long time in here. I mean, even you have Tim Blake Nelson. We know Tim Blake Nelson. He was in Watchmen, the HBO series. Um, he always wore that cap over his head because he was traumatized by like the squid attack, in Watchmen, the television series. He was also in Brother Wow and everything. So this is like more fitting. Also, like when they talk about Nightmare Alley, I was reading this article and it was talking about Bradley Cooper goes full frontal for this movie. And I was like, okay, I'm like, to me, like Bradley Cooper, he looks good from like the neck down. I don't know, it's just, but this movie really did fit him. Like, I've seen him in, like, what is it called? The Hangover, that movie with the American Sniper movie. I wasn't really a big fan of the. I know people gonna be like, oh, Kyle, blah, 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 and all that stuff, because Kyle, the guy Kyle that they portray in American Sniper, is from Texas. I did not get into that movie very well because I mean I tried to watch it. I I don't know about stuff like that, but but I mean, even when he was on the A team, um, he is charming, I tell you that. But it was just, I'm just not a big Bradley Cooper person, and I was just like, he looks good from the neck down. You know what I'm saying? I'll put a paper bag over him. That's all I look at and stuff. But this movie really did fit him, and he did. I was like, oh, hey, Bradley Cooper, how are you doing? You're cute. I was like, what's up? Let me give you my number. This movie actually fit him because I feel that his aesthetic fit him in this movie. And you're probably like, why is she talking about this dude? Like, I know all about, oh, y'all political with like face shaming and butt shaming and ass shaming and shit like that. But to me personally, I feel that Bradley Cooper really did fit the aesthetic of the 40s of this movie because he has that face to like fit his character. He has that look of like how he came up as Stanton Stan, and and he became like this. He was a con man, he was a drifter and everything else, and he was he came up and went through the circus and stuff to do the carnival of what he does, and he had that little cute mustache. I mean, that haircut. that 5 o'clock shadow. I'm like, oh my God, hey. I mean, I even did my hair like, pretty curly and stuff for for this podcast. But for real, like his aesthetic actually fits him in this movie, and I feel that he did a wonderful job. But back to what I was saying about the full frontal nudity thing, they just make something up just to be making something up. And the only time I just seen Wiener is that when he was in the bathtub, and Toni Collette's character, Zeena, was, she was making her moves, and I just like looked. It was like 3 seconds. I seen, you know, flaccid wiener, and I was like, oh, that looked like one of my exes and everything. When it's flaccid like that, when we used to like take a bath together, it's cute, like for real. It was like really cute. I was like, oh, that's cute, but I'm thinking like he's just gonna be like junk all out or whatever, and I was just like, that was in a tub. It was for 3 seconds, and that was it. You know how people are when they make up just sensationalize something that is not even worth talking about. And I was just, I mean, because when I read the article, I kind of like rolled my eyes at it, and I was just like, whatever, okay. So I watched it, and it was just like that, and I was just like, that ain't shit. That ain't nothing. He still don't have nothing on Ewan McGregor. That's all I gotta say. Damn, Ewan McGregor. Anyways, but Nightmare Alley is about a drifter, you know, Stan Carlisle. He actually has some demons in his closet. Lots and lots of skeletons. Well, he like comes into this carnival, this circus. And you can hear my son sitting here talking through this podcast. And it's very irritating. But I'm going to get a little bit more louder than he can. But anyways, he just like comes in, he wants to, he's like, oh, I'm gonna draw. You know what I'm saying? So he runs into like Clem, which is played by Willem Dafoe. He sees like how everything is ran, in the carnival. Well, he meets Zeena, which is played by Toni Collette. She does deal with the art of occult, of like tarot readings, things like that. And so he learns the tricks and the trades of how to do readings on people, because really it was like a scamming thing. But she actually can read these cards. Her husband, he knows about what he can do. There's like these secrets in his book. Well, he actually accidentally murders her husband. So he takes on this role of being like this really great, you know, uh, just a big time like a occultist, like a mind reader and everything. And so he actually meets up with Kate Blanchett's character Lilith Ritter during a show, and he's also with Molly, which is played by Rooney Mara. She's both a carny also and everything. So he was like, let's go and dip, and they find themselves in woo, so much shit, and it does. He actually literally turned his life into a nightmare, and it's because of his choices. You may think it's like, well, it's not scary or whatever, but think about like the choices that he made, and actually it became a nightmare to him, and it because of his choices, and it's because of his greed. It's because of him gaining power because he felt, that he wasn't good enough. He also had so many issues. He had father issues also. Um, he had this thing where he had daddy issues, of where he did murder his own father. Even Zena's husband, Pete, he murders him in order to gain the knowledge of the book, of learning how to be one of the little magic man. Now, what it is that they was applying the carny technique of like predicting the future. They had like people that write in, say like, well, I lost a dead one and everything else. So they were showing like how they were pulling the tricks of like, saying to make Miss Zeena, she was the reader at the carnival, to like make her more authentic. So what happens is that they gather up all the cards, then you have somebody below that's reading them, and they slip it up under a glass where she can read the questions and whatever like that. And she looks down on this glass and she announces like, I have somebody in the audience who lost their mother, and it starts with an A, and then the person comes up and says all this stuff, that's me. So it was basically like a scamming con, and it is a scamming con thing. And sometimes they could get a little bit deeper and a little bit more scared. What they call it, a spook show. What does that mean is that they went a little bit too far into just a general read, where they actually pretend to like, oh, they're right behind you, they always be with you, and they do this fake faint to make it more dramatic for the audience, because you don't want the audience to be lost, or you don't want the audience to be, to catch on to the trick, you know. And so that is what they do. And then of course, when they if it turns into a spook show, they have to go to the person that they did this so-called general reading on, and give them like comfort, hope. They have to be truthful with it. They're still lying, but they still have to use some truth with it, with that person, to let them know, like, hey, I'm sorry about that, but this would all happen. But we're gonna give you comfort. This person is with you, yada yada yada, to make that person feel a little bit more reassured that you know that it is a con, but they're covering up that is a scam and a con what they were doing. Well, Stanton, he is like literally just gobbling all of this information up. And, Molly, she has hers of where she absorbs electricity. Well, there was like a police shakedown, because in the beginning, you always had a geek. What is a geek? A geek is basically like a hobo person that's down on his luck, and the only job that they have for them is that they're going to starve him to death. You know, they will, like, give him like a little bit of food, and he is literally like out of his wits and stuff. And so they had a geek at the time. And so Clem and Stanton, or Stan, they got him and they set him outside, because he was literally getting sick, and he also tried to get away. He did hit Stan in the face. Stan was just like, boom, 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 and Clem was like, dude, stop, you're about to kill him. And they took him to the hospital clinic. It really wasn't a clinic, it was just more of like a house doctor. They just knocked on his door and they just left him out in the rain. Now, this right here is a bit of like a foreshadowing, a clue, because when Stan, he had lots of sympathy for the geek. He gave the geek a cigarette for him to get a drag off of it. Also, when they left him out in the rain for just the house doctor to get and take care of the geek and everything, because really the geek has no more service to the carnival. And so the best humane thing to do is just take him to, a place where he can get, help at. Excuse me. Stan was like, why are we gonna leave him out in the rain? Let's stay with him. And Clem was like, nah, 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 bro. We ain't gonna do that shit, because, you see what we doing. We actually having a human, this person is down on his luck. It's very inhumane of what we doing just for our show. And if this, this is literally like somebody's like dad or brother or son or whatever, and we're actually doing wrong by this guy of being our geek, because the geek, what he does, they throw out a chicken, and he bites into the chicken, satisfying his hunger. That was like the show right there. And so they had this shakedown. And so when Stan seen the sheriff that was coming in with the search warrant, he went over to Molly whenever she was doing her act, and he was like, Molly, you finna go to, you finna go to jail because you're, indecent exposure. There's women and children, young girls, and they seen you in your bikini, and you're just indecent exposure and stuff. You're basically naked in front of like the whole county. And Stan was like, oh hell no, oh hell no. So Stan like pulls out those little tricks that he learned from Zeena and the book that Pete had. And so he's shaking up the sheriff guy that was going to arrest everybody there, and made him walk away and stuff, like made him forget all about it. So Stan was like, yes, you know what I'm saying? So Stan had like a stab like in this. So he got like his bearings in this carnival that he was in. So him and Molly, they took on off. But, Bruno, which it was like the guardian, the watcher over Molly, he wasn't having it. He was just like, look, bro, I seen that you got them googly eyes for her, and I don't appreciate that shit. You gonna hurt her. You know what I'm saying? He was just being very protective, and of course, Molly was like, look, I'm a grown ass woman. I do whatever the fuck I want to do. I'm in love with Stan. There it is. So her and Stan, 2 years later, they have this act. He is literally making like stacks on stacks. They have a little show. They are killing it in the game. You know what I'm saying? Killing it is predicting wallets and watches and shit like that. And because of this book that Pete had, he learned all of this. And he also taught Molly. Now, Molly was his assistant and everything. So whatever she says, these words, there's like a trick to it. He will pick those up within like the letters of how she pronounce them, of whatever how she says. He will know exactly what the object is. Blah blah blah. He's putting 2 shows a night among the rich and the wealthy in Buffalo, New York. I mean, they're making money. They're not doing, they're not sleeping in tents. They're not eating like canned hash and, runny ass eggs and shit like that from shitty ass diners. They are getting room service. They are getting the best coffees, the best toast, the best steak and eggs that you could even imagine, and they just living they're living like high on the hog. Well, there was a very mysterious lady in the audience. She is not really buying this. And so she pushes like Molly away, and she asks Stan like what is in her handbag. And so he was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know what I'm saying? He's like, well, you just got some regular ass lipstick and some objects and bullshit like that and everything. And she was like, no, I really seriously want you to know what is exactly in my handbag. So he like guessed it was a very tiny revolver, nickel plated with a pearl holder and stuff like that. She pulls out the little gun. He did. And people were amazed. And she was amazed by it too, because she was like, I'm still curious about this man that supposedly he can, predict, shit in handbags and watches and bullshit like that with his eyes covered. And I'm curious. And of course, we come to find out that she's a doctor. She is a psychiatrist. And she treats like everybody in the town, from the mayor to the wealthy of the wealthiest. And they have literally lots of problems. So he was baiting information from Lilith, um, especially, from the wealthy of the wealthiest. This is like where his nightmare is starting to begin. um his nightmare is actually when he first like starting to get information from Lilith, and because it was his greed that was starting to get to him. Now the thing with Stan is Stan never touches a drink. That's the reason why I'm drinking cognac and everything. Stan has this really just this disdain for alcohol, for whiskey, things like that. And we figured that out. The reason why he doesn't drink is because we know that in the beginning we figure out that his father is an alcoholic. Um, so that's the reason why he always turns down alcoholic drinks. And so she offers an alcoholic drink to him, some whiskey or something like that, high class that shit, which is my shit is like $250 that I'm drinking. Because I'm bougie like that and I like my shit to be good. And he declines the drink. And so that makes her very, very extremely curious because she's a psychiatrist and everything. And she also puts him in the chair to figure him out, to figure out his weaknesses, to figure out what makes him tick and everything else. But with Stan is also an artist. Stan always do these beautiful, beautiful sketches. He sketches people's faces. He was when he first fell in love with Molly, he was sketching her face. To him, like Molly was that very pure, that innocent thing that he wanted in his life. Now, with Del Toro, if y'all notice about Del Toro, how he does his like um, his characters. You had I forgot her name, but she was mute, the mute lady that was in Lady. Excuse me, this drink is getting to me. The Shape of Water. She wore red. The little girl in Pan's Labyrinth. She wore red. Molly wore red. You gotta see like where I'm coming at right there. If y'all never notice how Del Toro does his protagonist and his innocent characters in his movies, is that they always wear red. If the whole Little Red Riding Hood, Little Red Riding Hood wore red. And who was the antagonist in Little Red Riding Hood? The Big Bad Wolf. So while everybody's colors are more muted and drab in this movie, she was the only one in this red. Molly always wore red that stuck out the most, and it's because of how her character is, that she embodied sensibility, the innocence, the curiosity. I mean, it's the same thing with the little girl in Pan's Labyrinth. It's the same thing with our character in The Shape of Water whenever she falls in love with the merman, in the movie. And of course, it takes place in the 1940s. And so she like embodies this innocence that Stan loves about her. To him, she was just unblemished. She was untouched. She wasn't she just wasn't scathed by like the dirty and the grittiness of like people's like secrets and lies that they have. I mean, he did sleep with Zeena because Zeena was like very curious and everything, and she liked him, and she told him like, look, you can do this what I do. You have a face for it. You're very handsome, and she was like, you can pull it off. Even though she is married to like Pete, he's older, but she's younger, but still, I get it though. I get it. Shit, I be like, well, I get that shit and everything. Little his little ding dong was a little dried out and everything. It had a little shelf life and everything. You have like Stan coming in looking all brawny and handsome and shit. Getting all butt ass naked in her tub and stuff. I hit that shit too, girl. I hit that shit too. So, so, but when you have the character of Lilith, you know, Lilith always have this dark, bad association with evil. Lilith, the first wife of Adam, and she didn't bow down to like, no man, not even God, so she was casted out, and you know, Eve is like Adam's second wife because even though she fucked up, I hate that whole fucking Adam and Eve story and shit. It's actually both of their asses fucked up, not just Eve. Adam did too. He fucked up too. So there it is. You don't like what the fuck I said? Eat my ass. But anyways, Lilith have always had this horrible, just a story about Lilith. She's always had like was painted as like the bad guy. Um, I can see from this angle from in Nightmare Alley of why she was like the way how she is. She's a psychiatrist, and she also stuck out too. Lilith wore black, and of course, like her hair, which is blonde, stood out against the black. Which Kate Blanchett is like the prettiest woman. Even when she played Hela in Thor Ragnarok, I loved her. I loved her in Thor Ragnarok. I love her playing Lilith Ritter also, Dr. Lilith Ritter. And so this is where the whole like the dame and the double crossing starting to like actually played off. Well, after like he pipes information from Lilith about the mayor, and he tells the mayor a whole bunch of things that has happened, especially with their son. Their son has passed years ago. His wife, which is played by Mary Steenburgen, has not really forgave, the whole thing of like letting their son go in and enlist in the war. He also died. It has been a very rocky marriage since their son got killed in a war, and it gave like the mayor so much hope, and then also it gave the wife, so much hope of knowing that, oh my God, our son is fine. I feel, relieved. I don't have this burden of regret, and this sadness that has plagued our home since our son died in a war, and it literally has changed our marriage. They did not catch on that like Stan was actually receiving confidential information from Lilith, and of course she has broke the whole oath of patient and doctor confidentiality, and he was using this to gain not only just thousands and thousands of dollars, but also this this knowledge of people's uh lives and things that they like went through, and how much remorse and sadness from things that they truly trusted Dr. Lilith Ritter with, because this is very personal. This is something that they're dealing with on the inside with Dr. Lilith, to for her to like help them out. I mean, there's a lot that they carrying, within inside of them, and they have to be prominent mayors and people of stature, in the city, and even just regular people that want to like feel better and get shit off their chest, and you have this woman sitting there just just letting it all out just for the sake of greed. And of course, Stan, he's also, wanting to like make his craft a little bit more authentic by doing this. Now there was a another man that did get Stan, and he put him on a lie detector test, and he was just making sure that Stan is actually the real deal. And so when that was already said and done, he had which he got information from Lilith, and he revealed something that was very personal and something that was very, very deeply hurtful about a young lady, and there was a baby, and the lady was murdered years ago. And that would convince the man to go, okay, I'm convinced that you are who you are. And he was like, I'm going to pay you, and I want a seance, and I want to like pay my respects to this young lady, and also ask her for my forgiveness. So Stanley said, I'm going to devise a plan. So he got Molly, said, look, Molly, go get this wig, go get this dress. They did all of this research and stuff. Now, what Stan did is that he made a copy of Lilith's key to like all of her clients' files. And he made this dummy key to go into her files. He also collected money from them, and he given Lilith some of the money also, and also kept the rest of that money inside of a vault inside of her office. And anyways, so he was like, yeah, girl, we're gonna do this, we're gonna pipe this up. And he was like, that's the end. And she was like, I can't do this, like I can't do this, this is too much, this is crazy. So she decided to leave, and he caught up with her. He had a talk with her in the bathroom to convince her to like at least like come back and do this and shit. But she also found his letter and also his book. And when she seen that he was sketching Lilith in one of the pages, and it was half done, she was like, oh, fuck this shit, fuck this motherfucking shit, oh hell no, I'm gonna leave this motherfucking high and dry. And that's what she, I mean, in that, and I felt Molly on that right there, as it is anyways. I felt her on that because he was getting way too deep into it. Now he did get a reading from Zeena, because Molly did call and let Bruno and everybody know from the carnival, and they came to visit. It's been like a long time since they seen him, and it's been 2 years, and they're doing very well. Well, Zeena, she pulled out his card. She did a 3-card spread, and it was the hangman in reverse. And he turned the hangman in reverse up like, oh yeah, that's. I'm like, no, boo boo, you don't do the hangman reverse like that. Um, Hangman reverse is actually a Hangman tarot card is actually a Pisces card. Whenever you are in the Hangman position, that usually means that you're in between decisions, and you gotta make the decision. Now, when it's in reverse, it's more like you done made a fucked up ass choice and everything, and you better be ready to what the fuck you just decided on. You see what I'm saying? And there's a lot of bullshit that come between those cards right there. And a lot of times people think that tarot cards are like from the devil and everything. It actually picks up on what the person is feeling. Tarot cards are basically, they're very helpful guys, but we gotta do it as entertainment. So he had the hangman in reverse, and I was like, ooh, bro, you better watch out for that shit. So he did perform this completely seance. Well, the guy that employed him paid him $10,000 for this. He had like a little happy with him and everything that protected him. And he like know that he was a fraud. He was a fake. He's like, I love this man. I do anything for him, but you better not fuck with him like that. But he did fuck with them. Molly did agree to it, to put the wig on, the dress, have the blood and everything else. They timed it. The man came. He was crying. He went off into the garden where they was at, and he was supposed to just look at the woman and just do all that, but he ran up to Molly pretending to be the woman, And he was like, oh shit, y'all fucked me, like, y'all fucked me up, this is a fake. What are you doing? He's like, now I'm pissed. Well, he slaps Molly because she's pretending to be this woman that, come to find out that, the very wealthy man, has did some things not too cute in the past and everything, where he has literally sexually assaulted a lot of young girls, um, had unwanted pregnancies, made them get abortions and things like that. And so when, that was revealed right there, they all Molly, it started to car, Stan, he beat the hell out of the guy. He literally killed the guy right there in his garden. And it was the garden that he made for the deceased young woman that he felt so much remorse and sadness, for. And he ran over like old home dude's little bodyguard. Um, she split, he split. Um, there was some foreshadowing also. This is another clue. When he was running from the cops and everything, he almost got caught. But before he was doing all this running, he went back to Lilith, and Lilith double crossed him. She shot at him. She alerted the authorities and everything. Lilith was like, "Bitch, you ain't going." She's like, "Yeah." Yeah, she's like, yeah, I played your motherfucking ass too. And she did. She played his ass like a fiddle. And that's the reason why he was on the run. Now he got into a train car of where there was a lot of chickens. Dun 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 dun. Chickens. Remember what I was talking about, the geek? And so he got on the car, he got away, he became a hobo with a hole in his shoe. And of course, during that time when he was with Lilith, piping information, he's like, sexing the shit out of her. Molly didn't know that, he was having an affair on her with Lilith. And he started drinking. He never drank. Remember that? But when he got with Lilith, he started drinking. So he was around the fire. The hobos was like, bro, you gotta give something, because if you want this drinky drink what we got right here, you gotta give something up. So he gave the watch that his father had, and it does a flashback of how Stan killed his father. He raised the window up. His dad was really, really sick. And he raised the window up on him. He was cold. He was coughing. He was extremely sick. And Stan took the blanket off of his father and let him just freeze to death. And he got the watch off of his father. So he gave his father's watch, to the hobo for just that one swig of drink. And so he made it into another carnival. He talks to the carnival manager, and the carnival manager was like, "Ooh, you stink. You smell like piss." He's like, "But you know what? Wait a minute. Come on." He was like, "Dude, I got some jobs for you. It's just temporary like that." And then there was the glass of the baby that was in formaldehyde, and it had this big, huge eye right in the middle of the third eye. And he's looked at it, and he knew it was from Clem. And he was like, yeah, he told the story about the little baby that was in the formaldehyde jar. He was like, yeah, I bought it from this guy, blah, blah, blah. And so Stan was like, well, I can do, like, I could do some readings and things like that. And the guy was like, nah, that's pretty old. It's a waste of time. People kind of just got away from that. It's not a good act for the carnival. But he was like, hey, but I got something else for you. And you knew exactly what he was talking about. The carnival manager was referring to Stan that, like, look, you can be a geek. And Stan laughed and he smiled, and he was just like, all right, I'd be a geek. He didn't say literally he's going to be a geek, but you knew that was coming. You knew right ahead because when Stan was running away from the cops, and he got into the train car, and it was nothing full of chickens. That was another clue and another foreshadowing of like, this is the downfall of the nightmare. Not only the nightmare was already going on, but this is like really the nightmare of Stan, is that he wasn't shit when he came to the carnival, and when he got there, and when he left, he became somebody. Then the fucked up choices that he made, of which started up his fucking nightmare, which he was going to like be in a nightmare as it is, because guess what, he killed his dad, and that's what all like transpired. And so that was the end of Nightmare Alley. And of course, I really enjoyed it. It's 2 hours. It gave like really great performances. Like I said, film noir movies and neo-noir movies, especially that is in the 40s and the 50s like setting and stuff. I feel that is like a very niche, very type of movie style. A lot of people, they were very into it. A lot of people just not. I like this from Guillermo del Toro because it did take a break from like a lot of the horror movies that he do, but it actually showed a little. It showed more that he just do horror and everything. There's no, characters. There's no monsters or whatever. But in actuality, the monsters of really is that the people that create those monsters for themselves. It also opens up of like how back then in those days of how occultism and fortune telling was very very popular, especially among the wealthy and the rich. um, you did have charlatans, you did have people that was like snake oilsmen, selling bullshit and everything. It actually takes away a lot from people that actually do know how to read tarot cards and things like that. Not just only from knowing it, but more intuitive with it and everything. You do we still have our fakes out there, our fake psychic readers, things like that, tarot card readers, bullshit like that, that look in people's Facebook and social medias and stuff. You do have those fake scammy ones that will go into people's inboxes and manipulate them with like tactics for them to pay money to like have like some reading or whatever. You do have those that scam other people that are real true tarot readers, and people that do practice the occult, um impersonating them. That has happened. And so, as me myself, I do tarot readings and stuff. They are by intuition. I've always had this. That's something that's a part of me and everything. Um, but I really liked it because it does deal with that. Um, it does deal with the occult. It does deal with things like that. That is a part of my life and everything. But I'm not big on motherfucking scam artists and drifters and shit like that. This is a really great storytelling from Guillermo del Toro, as he does the remake of Nightmare Alley. Cast is phenomenal. Um, I love the period piece of it, and it is basically just like really one of the greatest movies that is like very undetected from the audience to watch this movie. And I give it about like a motherfucking 8 out of this bitch. But I enjoy Nightmare Alley. And of course, our second movie that's going to be coming up after this podcast is called To Catch a Deadly Spell. I still got a little bit of cognac with me. We're not passing the Cavassier and everything. Duh. It's just me. You just heard me burp. But anyways, that is enough of my time. Thank you for joining me with the Random Horror Show. I am Keisha Lacey. Yes, natural clairvoyant and tarot reader, spiritual guidance, and y'all have a good night. Thank you, and welcome back to the Random Horror Show. Double feature as a our first one of tonight is Nightmare Alley, and our second feature is Cast a Deadly Spell, the 1991 mystery comedy that is actually was made on HBO. Um, I remember this movie. I think I was like 7th or 8th grade or something like that. I can't remember that. That was ancient years ago. But Cast a Deadly Spell was an HBO made movie that actually like is right up my alley. I mean, think about it. This is another film noir, neo noir film, which I love. You know, you got your, like I said, you got your dames, you got your gumshoe detectives, your PIs, you got the double crossing, you have all of that junk. But this one right here is a little different. This is actually taking place in Los Angeles, and everybody is into magic. Now we're still dealing with the second part of our show with the occult. And of course, I got my Cavassier right here, and I got my tarot cards, just like I had a Nightmare Alley. hmm And I'm gonna tell you this right here. It's also Pisces season. We're coming up on Pisces season, and I'm a Pisces too, so. Let me shake my titties. Let me shake my titties, cause it's Pisces season coming. Let me shake my titties. Let me shake, 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 shake out. Anyways, oh gosh, and of course, gotta say it like it is. Here at the Random Horror Show, where we film, commentate, being silly and random, just going off on tangents and everything, but we still get back to the main point with horror, science fiction, fantasy, cult classics, and the obscure in movies, television, and books. Cast a Deadly Spell was a very popular movie. It ran a lot on HBO. HBO was like had like the heydays of like what is it called? Home box office movie cable channel. People were like, I gotta get HBO. HBO be like throwing it down. And of course, you know, it's cousin, brother, sister, whatever you want to call it. You can't have HBO without Cinemax. It was just like the perfect bosom buddy pair right there. It was like Tom Hanks and Peter Scolari from Bosom Buddies, if y'all remember that show. And of course, rest in peace, Peter Scolari. He passed away this year. Actually, last year. I know it wasn't like a lot of news on Peter Scolari, but he did pass away last year. And he was like a really great actor. I like Peter Scolari. But this one right here, what if you was in another alternate multi-dimension as we coming up on the phase 4 of the MCU? We got this Doctor Strange movie, but you actually had more humans not praying to Jesus and Buddha and Lucifer, and well, Lucifer does got a little bit of this going on, but they were doing magic. How would you feel about a world of everybody using magic? How would you feel about that? And of course, you know, you have like people, damn truck, no, I got my window up and everything while I'm recording this. You have people that feels a little bit off about magic and witchcraft and things like that. Right now, currently in the world, as what we see, a lot of people are turning away from religion and getting into paganism, witchcraft, things like that, and sorcery. Why you ask? Why is it that is it a turn from this? Is because of a lot of things that has been going on, not only just for decades. This is not something of of new shit. This is some shit that it was bound to happen. And though I am 44 years old, well, I'll turn 44 next month because March, Pisces season. March is my birthday. I literally seen this coming. It's messy. It definitely is messy. And it's not because I'm drinking this $250 cognac. And it's because of a lot of things that's what's been happening. Now, I have gave y'all the 411 on my real-time horror story with Longview Baptist Temple. And of course, the reason why there is like so much of people turning away from Christianity and other religions is because of a lot of bullshit of what people are doing. They don't feel very safe in churches. They don't feel very safe within the congregation of the church members. Um, you have children that have been in churches that people have done this shit and they don't feel safe anymore. They want to get out. They want to feel free. They want to go on their own accord and own their own devices. Now, this is not saying that everybody's going to be sitting there becoming like damn Hogwarts and motherfuckers claiming Gryffindor and Ravenclaw and all that shit. But really, what people don't understand is that paganism, witchcraft, sorcery, things like that, what they practice, it's an earth religion. What I practice is it's like a mix, but it's mostly into hoodoo. Hoodoo is not very relatively grounded in religion, but it's more of how would I put it like this? It's loose. It's a loosely based on different cultures of European Wiccan culture, pagan culture, Native American, African, voodoo and spiritualism. That's what it is. This is the reason why you have like the whole movement of with the spirituality, what's going on right now. Now, when I talked about Nightmare Alley and what I was telling y'all about how people are using this, you got your fake motherfuckers that are using this, what I'm talking about, to manipulate people and to scam people out of money and things like that, because there's people that has came out of their denomination. Some of them have experienced sexual abuse, lots of brainwashing and control, and you have those that are lost and they want to find something so they can feel whole and at peace, to where they can have a faith that they can believe in. They can make sure that themselves have control for themselves and everything, be the masters of themselves. And you have these people out here that are faking the funk with this. And they are, you have like the witch talk. I've never heard of that, and I'm on TikTok. You can tell that I'm not on TikTok a lot, and I don't watch TikToks and shit like that, because really, I mean, I can walk out my front door, I can go to the grocery store as a TikTok, but there's witch talk, and there's people that are cashing in and using spirituality, paganism, things like that, to manipulate other people. And it's very, very sad. I don't like it myself. I really don't. It's to me, it's so tragic. And to me, in my opinion, that it's always going to be some type of charlatan that's going to prey on the innocent people or the people that is lost and really want to have um like a real spiritual connection, not just only with themselves but with humanity and the earth realm, the space that we're in, that we inhabit. And I literally don't. I don't appreciate people that do shit like that. I mean, I'm like, you're in the same, you're just the same as like the same motherfuckers who do shit like that in the church and misguide people like that. It's sad. And I want to do something so badly, but then it's like, is anybody gonna listen to me? No. They're not. They probably think yes, I am eccentric, but they think I'm just talking a bunch of shit out of my ass. I'm pulling things out of my ass. But I'm being very truthful. This is coming from my heart. Um, me is into this, and I'm born of the blood of this right here, of all of this. I would never guide anybody down a wrong path or mislead a person. I would like for them to make that choice. And really about me and people that are real deal into the spirituality of like paganism, hoodoo, voodoo, whatever, Santeria, things like that. Um, we wouldn't tell somebody to join us. It's more of your choice. If you hold on to your Christian faith or whatever, there's no biggie in that. We don't discriminate against that. We have much respect for that. So much respect for that. But let's move it all along with cast a deadly spell. So you have this whole realm of people using magic. There's no such thing as stuff like what we deal with here in our realm. But there is a PI, a sleuth named Harry Philip Lovecraft, as y'all know as H.P. Lovecraft, which is played by Fred Ward. Fred Ward has always been an amazing actor, from Tremors, shit, damn, was that movie with like Leslie Nielsen? Police Academy? No, it's not Police Academy. That's like with Steve Gutenberg. But you know what I'm talking about. Those movies with Leslie Nielsen. He was in there. He was in the one with the late beautiful Anna Nicole Smith, aka Vicky. You know what? Them damn Vickies. My mother's name is Vicky too, and them damn Vickies, they are something else. And I really enjoyed when Anna Nicole was here on Earth, and she was a hoot. Same way with my mom. My mom was a hoot too. But Fred Ward was in uh, those movies and stuff with Leslie Nielsen. Those were hilarious right there. But Fred Ward plays Detective Harry Philip Lovecraft, and he doesn't use magic. He is the only one that doesn't use magic in this movie. You also have Julianne Moore. She plays Connie Stone. You have David Warner, who is playing Amos Hacksaw. You have Alexa Powers that plays Olivia Hacksaw. And Clancy Brown, a.k.a. Mr. Krabs, is Harry Bolton. And you also have Charles Hallahan. Man, y'all know Charles Hallahan. Shit, he always play every damn detective of every damn science fiction movie, drama, suspense. It don't even matter. You just know Charles Hallahan from every damn detective. It's like, hey, we need a detective in this movie. Who can we call? Shit, let's call Charles. And so they like call Charles Hallahan. He's like every damn detective you can name of. Well, Harry investigates, a murder. They caught the dame because the dame used magic to kill the person that she wanted to kill. And of course, he has a case that falls into his lap. Now the kicker is that there's going to be this really big full moon, and there is some shit going to be happening. The shit is about to hit the fan. So his landlord and neighbor across the hall from him, from his PI office, is Hippolyta. And as you watch Lovecraft Country, there's a character in there named Hippolyta in there. So I thought that was pretty cool right there. So Hippolyta is feeling all of this distress and this disturbance in the air because she knew that, okay, I gotta go to Florida. I gotta go to Miami because in LA some bullshit about to happen, and I'm getting my ass ready to get the fuck up on out of here. So, there was some shady ass shit that was happening. You have a guy that was running away, and he's going to go and meet his girlfriend at the train station. They was going to run off, but there is a book. We don't know what this book is until we find out what the book is. It's the Necronomicon. The Necronomicon. So whenever the Necronomicon was delivered to Harry in his club, he was like, yay, I finally have it. But when he opened it up, it was a fake Necronomicon. Uh-oh. So old Home Biscuit, he was like, oh, hell no. Let's get him. So they went and they got him. They killed him in the train bathroom. But old Home Biscuit let his girl know, or is it a girl, that the important contents is in this lockbox that's at the train station. So he was letting her know that to keep shut the fuck up, honky. I don't know who the fuck you are, dude. So he was like keeping her safe and the Necronomicon safe too. So he was killed. So Detective Harry Philip Lovecraft was hired by Amos Hackshaw. Amos had a daughter. His daughter was, she was young, nubile, fresh. She was 16 years old. She was also a huntress, and she was hunting unicorns. And of course, if you're gonna hunt a unicorn, you gotta be a virgin. And they all know about who is actually, part of the hunt, Diana. If y'all don't, just going back to Greek mythology. Okay, Diana is, the goddess of hunt. Learn up on your Greek mythology. Yes, I am a little bit tipsy at this moment. Excuse me. So, Amos, he's like, yo, I hired you because you don't do magic. Everybody does magic and shit, but you're the only one that doesn't do magic. But I want you to find this book. It's gold bound, has like this description with it and everything. I want you to retrieve it for me. All right, cool, peace. So Harry was like, I did, but he also noticed Olivia. And so Olivia, with her little young hot ass, she with her little fast ass and shit. Yes, I call her fast ass. Her little fast ass wanted to get all up on some Lovecraft. She really want that love and that craft all up in her. But he was like, nah, girl. Yo, daddy hired me to do a job, and I'm not gonna touch you like that. So it was like a blood rain that came through, and that was like really weird. I was like, oh, how cool. It's raining blood. So he traces back to the guy that used to work for Amos. Amos had two people that was employed. One of them ran off, and the other one, he said, that made advances towards his daughter. So he got rid of them. And so he traces back to the guy that was killed in the beginning, who delivered Harry the fake Necronomicon to this apartment. There was some gremlins. Yes, some gremlins. It was the gremlins there. So the landlord was shooting up all of the all of the place, well, the goddamn gremlins running all amok in my fucking house, and there was like a piece of board that was loose. So Harry comes and he looks, he's like, oh snap, there's a clue right there. He also looks in the drawers and he noticed there was a perfume bottle and there was a card, and he was like, okay then. There's a there's a lady involved. The perfume is right there, and there's a card right here. So he goes to Harry's Borden's club. Now Harry Borden used to be on the force with Lovecraft. They were partners. They were damn good partners. Somehow, like Borden said, I'm tired of this bullshit. I'm gonna be like kind of like that nightclub owner turned, gangster goon mob, boss and everything with this shit, because he somehow mysteriously got this fortune to like open up this very nice club. Well, guess who's there singing is Connie. Connie is actually the ex-lover of Lovecraft, which Connie is now with Harry because Harry got all this money. He runs this nightclub. He's like Mr. Big Hotshot and everything, gangsta goon, boss and stuff like that. So she sings at his club. So Connie and Harry like actually has a moment and stuff. Harry still is in love with Connie. Still in love with her. I mean, I'm telling you, that damn pussy is priceless and powerful like a motherfucker and everything. Even if you don't see each other in a couple of years and everything, you still get hit with the failings. The failings. So they had their little chit chat and everything. And so Harry summons Harry Lovecraft, and you can tell that their relationship was used to be very friendly and very close. And since like Harry Bolton has have acquired and living this criminal lifestyle, it caused a rift between both of them. And then um, Harry has like these, he has a zombie. Yeah, they have zombies and everything. And he also has like his, right hand man. And his right hand man was like, I can offer for you, boss. I can offer for him. Because Harry Bolton knows that Lovecraft is really a damn good detective. And what he does, he is like by the book, straight laced. He doesn't use magic. He uses his smarts and his wits to figure things out. While everybody's using magic to make it much easier and simpler for them, excuse me, Harry is just basically, it's just like, I don't do that shit. It makes it too easy for me. And he feels like that unsung hero in this movie. But Harry does not know that Amos has his prized possession that's following Lovecraft, which is a gargoyle. Yeah, you don't know about them damn gargoyles and their shit and everything. Gargoyles, if y'all remember that cartoon Gargoyles and everything, boy, that was like the motherfucking lick right there. That was the fucking lick right there. That was the darkest Disney cartoon that have ever watched. You talking about you had me, my mama, and everybody else. You talking about everybody, even my dad was watching Gargoyles. That was a motherfucking lit ass cartoon right there. But seriously though, the Gargoyle was following Lovecraft because Amos was tagging Lovecraft just in case he did find the book. The Gargoyle can come in and kill Lovecraft and get the book. The reason why is because Amos has something really planned, and it involves his daughter Olivia. So the story gets a little bit much deeper. So Hippolyta warns Lovecraft, like, look, I'm gonna put this little bracelet on you to protect you, okay? Because I have foreseen a lot of shit that is coming. And because if you're on this case, and then now Connie has come into your life, the way how you live, the way how you roll, you drink a lot and shit. I know it's over a woman, but it's also you just uh, just being all up in some regret and shit. So there was like a part of the scene that where Olivia gets away from her father because he is literally having her as a prisoner at the house. Like I said, she plays an important part in this. And she gets with like Lovecraft. Now she's got a little crush on Lovecraft and shit. Cause she was like, shit, Lovecraft was gonna like pop my motherfucking cherry. But really she was very naive. She just wanted to see the world. She just wanted to like be out in the world and see a lot of things. I mean, I don't even freaking blame her ass. And they was at the cafe, they were eating, and the one of like Harry Bolton's goons, his right hand man, talked to the owner of the restaurant, and he gives him this spell. Now I was looking at them damn sigils and bullshit and everything. I said, oh, he put some hooky doo on his motherfucking ass. And so when he gave him the note and stuff, Harry automatically knew that is a cursed spell right there. And he was like, oh hell no, oh hell to the no, no, no. Hell no to the no. So he chased down the restaurant owner into the kitchen. And he literally like, dude, I'm not getting this shit. Here, he threw that shit back at him. Well, guess what? Something was cooking up in the motherfucking pot. And it was a demon that was summoned to kill Lovecraft. But Lovecraft figured it out. Like I said, he was very quick witted. And he did not use magic to notice that somebody is putting some type of curse or like a magic spell on him to kill him. And he puts it back on the restaurant owner. Now the restaurant owner's got his ass towed up by that damn demon that came out the damn pot. Reminded me like of the little demon that came out the pot. Our Mistress of the Dark movie and shit. That shit was funny as hell. But this motherfucking demon did not play and everything. So they got the demon in the freezer. You know what I'm saying? Home dude was dead. And he told like the boy that was in the kitchen, like, don't touch that note, don't touch him, things like that, because if you touch him, the demon is gonna come and kill you too. So he was like, okay, somebody's trying to kill me, and it was his old ex-partner Harry Borden. So they were just like, he was just like stunned because he wasn't putting the pieces together that it was Harry. But he kind of figured it out. It was Harry and everything. Now with Connie and Lovecraft, they spent the night together. He didn't know he was being double crossed by Connie. And Connie was, like I said, this is the dame double crossing the hero and everything else like that. Even though she was with Harry Bourne, his ex-partner, she had other intentions for herself. She didn't give a shit about Harry, the guy that she was with, which is Detective Lovecraft's ex-partner. She really loved Lovecraft, but to her it was like, I know how he is. I make him weak. I am his weakness. I'm gonna play on his weaknesses shit so I can get him to this space where I really want him to be. So literally she had other plans for both of them. And so when it came time to where the book was actually found, to come to find out that the dame in the beginning of the movie that was at the train station is actually not a woman. It was actually a man that was in drag. Him and the other guy was lovers and things like that. And the what I mentioned about the gargoyle that was keeping a close eye on Lovecraft that Hackshaw have told him to do, bust in, killed the guy. He got the book, you know, and of course Connie was with him during out this time. She kind of knew what was going on, but she acted dumb that she didn't know anything was going on like that. So when they went to, there was a spot. So Harry figured out that there was a spot that he investigated, and it was land that these people are building homes and stuff. It was actually zombies that was building the houses. And this was going to be a new subdivision. This, remember, we're going into the 50s. This is where the new age of suburban life was like finna spring about, which was outside of Los Angeles. Well, at this point right here, this is like the big shebang the whole enchilada. Amos wanted to have the Necronomicon to bring Cthulhu into this world. Okay, so you had Harry Borden, who is the ex-partner of Detective Lovecraft. He was in with it all along, and that him and Amos struck a deal with each other. Okay, so Harry Borden was going to be the top notch. You know, when Cthulhu comes in, he wants to be the top motherfucker to rule the motherfucking world. He want to be the HBIC or the HNIC of the whole world, ruling everybody. Okay, and so these two want to have this absolute power from Cthulhu, making him coming into this realm. Well, guess who they had to use to make sure all of this pizza party nugget brigade shit is going to happen at this place where they're going to have like subdivisions of suburban life. They have to have Olivia. Why they have to have Olivia? As Olivia is young, she's also a virgin. So it takes a virgin sacrifice to make sure that Cthulhu comes through the ancient ones, the old ones that used to rule. You know what I'm saying? So yes, so Amos literally had his daughter to not be around any type of man whatsoever. That's the reason why he fired old home dude that was in drag, because he was like trying to hit up on Olivia and shit like that, trying to get her panties. But there's always a but. Well, when she was in the police station, she met Detective Otto. And Lovecraft kind of figured some shit out and everything. So he told Otto to keep a watch on Olivia. Well, Olivia, with her hot ass, was very intrigued by Detective Otto. And Detective Otto was intrigued by her. He just kind of like, she's a little younger than me. He just, you know how some men are, like they just play it off like, I kind of know she's young, but I'm just play it off like I'm just gonna imaginary pretend that she's 18 or 19. I don't know, cause if you're a detective and shit, you know that motherfucker 16 years old and shit. Bitch, don't be playing. You just want some young ass stuff. But yes, Lovecraft actually sent Otto over there to Hacksaw's residence to keep an eye for watch on Olivia. Well, during this sacrifice and everything else that they were doing, and of course there was a big gobbly nasty ass monster that came out of the gazebo, which was the ancient one. Connie double crossed both of them. She killed Harry Bolton, her lover, and him dead. Mr. Krabs was dead. And then she pointed the gun to Harry. Now, Amos actually had a mind control on Harry's zombie. So he controlled Harry's zombie to break Connie's hand. And Connie didn't get a chance to shoot Lovecraft. And it broke his heart again that Connie would be that deceptive to double cross Lovecraft again, you know, and it really hurt him. It really hurt him so badly. But when that shit did not work, whenever they bring in ancient one through the gazebo and everything. Come to find out that Olivia had sex before the whole sacrifice. It fucked everything up. And instead of Olivia, it was her father that, the ancient one gobbled up and everything. Which was really great because I was just like, wow, dude, Amos, you are a son of a bitch. Just because you wanted to gain so much power in bringing another interdimensional being into our alternate reality of people using magic, you pretty much just use your daughter for bait. That is some sick, sad, twisted ass shit. And of course, it just shows how much greed and power a man would do even to his own flesh and blood. And I got the where Amos actually did kill his wife, but made it into an accident because she probably just already figured out the truth that Amos was going to be using their daughter Olivia as a human sacrifice to bring Cthulhu into the world. He probably had, yeah, he had her offed off. He did. Ooh, I'm almost done with this cognac right here, boy. I'm getting all saucy like saucy as a sailor right here. But alas, the day was saved. The gargoyle was killed. That was the meanest, funniest gargoyle I've ever seen in my whole entire life. But he was a trip. And of course, it was, there was a guy in the suit playing a gargoyle. But I liked the gargoyle. I really did. And the zombie fell down dead. I mean, he was already dead. So, Olivia is saved. And of course, the mystery was all solved. And it comes to find out that, it was Amos that hired Lovecraft to really get the book, the Necronomicon, for him so he can do this bullshit ass ritual. But it backfired on him. And that's what happens whenever you use magic to the point of where your greed, your lust for power turns against you. Especially when you use a loved one, which you did not really love your daughter, and then you kept her gilded in this beautiful, wealthy prison of like a mansion where she just hunts unicorns just to pass boredom. She's horny as hell. Baby girl, with her hot, fast ass, really needed some ding dong, and gladly Lovecraft pretty much put that shit in motion for Detective Otto to pop her cherry and everything. And of course, Detective Otto found out that she's 16. And she found out that Detective Otto is married. And that pissed her off. I was like, bitch, I'd be mad too. Like, bitch, I'm 16 and I done gave you some of my cookies and shit, and your motherfucking ass is married? Oh, hell no. But Lovecraft was like, I'm not gonna tell your wife. He was like, you actually done something right, Otto. You actually done something right. Even though it was illegal as shit, I can turn you in for statutory rape, but I'm gonna let it slide this time. And that was the end of Cast a Deadly Spell. Cast a Deadly Spell. It was a movie that was a little different from other movies. Especially when it was dealing with magic, and then it's a film noir style and everything. I mean, I was so glad to watch that because it's like that movie was waiting for me at the right time, at the right moment. It was. There is a sequel of cast a deadly spell, which is witch hunt. So I'm gonna catch up on this witch hunt and everything of this movie. But like I believe that like to me that HBO did do a very wonderful job of just weaving this world within the 40s of everybody's using magic. He's Detective Lovecraft, which is from H.P. Lovecraft, with his type of horror stories. You got it like the unnameable, many Lovecraft stories that Lovecraft wrote and everything else like that. Um, he does have like a very big imprint, especially with cosmic horror, um, mystery and suspense and things like that. And it is a very original story because I just like the concept of it. I love the concept of mixing witchcraft and horror and film noir within this movie. It is. It's literally it was literally it was beyond its time back in the 90s. Yes, I do remember I was in 8th grade in 1991 because I was a no, I was a freshman in 92. That's right. That's right. Y'all, this Kanye got me going like this and shit and everything. And and of course, we have the Necronomicon. It seems like to be like the damn book that everybody just wants to get. I mean, you had the Necronomicon like in the Evil Dead. Then you have it it was another movie that came out. Was it like the Necronomicon or something like that? It was like this horror anthology um, movie that I watched. Um, which I really like. I really like. It was kind of gross and everything, especially with the whole um, the demon bats grossness and everything from the lady cop that you know went inside. It was just really it really weirded me out, but I really liked it. But this movie, um, it was really different. It's very original. I liked how they did pull like a lot of the Lovecraft um, you know essence with it, and even naming the protagonist um, Harry Philip Lovecraft also. And of course that film noir shit, you got to have like your dames that double cross their lovers, and the dame that was with the guy and they broke up and she's with the best friend, and it's that shit that I like so love about film noir movies. You know what would be the coolest one if you have like a film noir movie and it has like steampunk science fiction feel with it? I think that will be so freaking amazing right there. Oh my god, I'm going into like drunk white girl. I'm going into drunk white girl, everybody. I'm going into drunk white girl with my cognac. I really am. Oh, I do have water. Mm. Water. Water. So yes, if you want to catch some really old school style witchcraft film noir movie that has the elements of H.P. Lovecraft and lots of laughs in it, go ahead and check out Cast a Deadly Spell. Like I said, this movie was really popular back in 91 when it came out on HBO. This is like HBO like original movie that they written and wrote and screenplayed with that. This is like where they was starting to begin to, like, HBO was starting to begin to make movies for themselves and everything, and it was cable movies, and they started to get into that part of, like, like, hey, I know we play blockbuster movies that came out in theaters, yada yada yada, and they were like, what if we start making our own movies? And that's what they started to do. They literally did put out a lot of good movies. HBO has put a lot of good movies out through their production of what they did. Um, but this one right here, very, very ahead of its time. Uh, Anybody that is in the occult or into paganism, witchcraft, whatever mode that you are into and everything, spirituality, shit like that. Um, grab your popcorn, grab your boo thing or whatever and stuff, and just catch a deadly spell. You know, it's and it was my first time watching this movie too. And like I said, this is the movie that has been waiting on me for, like, it's like, I've been waiting on you for 30 some years. Go get into it. I was like, okay, okay. Because at that time, I did not have cable. I lived in the country. Um, we didn't have cable. So I'm so glad that I caught this movie. I would have watched this movie when I was younger, but my mom didn't have cable, and my grandparents didn't have cable and shit like that. But I still remember this movie like a mofo. And when I seen the title, I was like, yes! Of course, I had my snacks. That's that single people, like, that's the single people shit right there. When you have a basket of snacks, you got your drinks, and you's like, I'm finna watch this movie. And you may have like a pile of laundry right next to you and everything, as, like, I guess, like a pseudo body or whatever, but that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. For all my single people, y'all know what I'm talking about. When you have your pile of laundry on your bed and you sleep with them, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. All right. But that is enough of my rambling here at the Random Horror Show. And I'd like to thank you guys for listening to tonight's double feature podcast as we dive deep into the occult and people that are scam artists and charlatans with the occult. With our first one, with Nightmare Alley, with, God, I forgot the dude's name. Bradley Cooper, Kate Blanchett, Bruno Mari, and Willem Dafoe. And Cast a Deadly Spell with Fred Ward, Julianne Moore, David Warner, and Mr. Krabs himself, Clancy Brown. I love Clancy Brown. Oh, man. Clancy Brown, you know what saved Pet Sematary 2? Clancy Brown. That's who saved Clancy Brown. I mean, that's what saved Pet Sematary 2. Sucky ass movie, but Clancy Brown saved that bitch. Clancy Brown. Alright, Mr. Krabs now. That's the reason why he fucking rocks. Clancy Brown, bitches. He made Pet Sematary 2 watchable. Wasn't that motherfucker from or ER, Anthony, whatever his name is. He was also on Top Gun. It wasn't him. It's fucking Clancy Brown. Alright then. For all my ghouls and witches out there who is dipping and dabbling in the occult, get your chakras, you got your crystals, and everything else. I bid y'all a good night. And thank you for listening to the Random Horror Show. I am your podcast hostess and hoodoo mage, Keisha Lacey. Good night.